Okay, so beginning ministerial internship. All right. Um, so for oh, there it goes. My mentors were Pastor Roger Quesenberry and Pastor Steve Shin. Others present were Pastors Daryl Hunt and Alan Barnado. And these took place at our church here here in Walterboro, South Carolina. It's a multi-site church called Faith. Officially, the mentors were Roger Quesenberry and Steve Shin, and Pastor Darrell, who's been a pastor for a while, and he's been ordained with two other organizations and not the assemblies. Interjected from time to time. So, moving on, a couple of the topics that the pastors hit on included personal holiness. Their big thing is you hold yourself accountable. Um, accountability starts with you, right? So, and they made it especially clear, and this is more or less Pastor Quesenberry said, you better be the same man at home that you are behind the pulpit. And that rings so true with me, it's probably not ideal, if you are preaching personal holiness, preaching a sanctified life, but you're running around on your spouse or abusing her or drinking or being rough with your children, right? That would not line up. So your private actions need to line up with what you're doing in the pulpit. Of course, this is scriptural. Whatever is done in the dark will be brought to the light. So, and also when you step into a ministry role, you will be watched. If people know they said that if people know you're a pastor in the community, even if they don't attend your church, they're going to look at you and see your actions. Therefore, you always need to be holding yourself accountable, making sure that you're living piously. Being a minister, one thing that was made abundantly clear to me was that a minister, above all, is a servant, uh, and that you are to serve people. Um, but one thing to be aware of that people will try to take advantage of you, knowing that you are a pastor and a Christian. They will try to get you to sometimes give them things or put you in difficult situations that may not be ideal. And finally, sheep bite. And what they meant by this was that uh, sometimes your parishioners will backbite on you. They will do things to try to deter your ministry, right? And so just be aware of the fact that that people so often are not looking out for your own good. And they also made it abundantly clear that as a male, you should not never be alone with a female that is not your spouse. At best case scenario, it's not a good look. Worst case scenario, there could be accusations and temptations. And, if you notice a lot of the things that happen, it creates a lot of issues for the church. I've noticed just in my few years being around that there have been ministries derailed by this. One of the prominent examples right now, even though there was nothing out of the way that happened, there was just some bad things that were starting was with Matt Chandler out with the Village Church, where he just it was an inappropriate relationship, but it was not. It was a non-sexual relationship. So, but still, it wasn't a good look, and it's derailed his ministry for a time, and hopefully there's some healing there. And finally, they wanted to talk about doctrinal unity. They to know and understand the 16 fundamental truths of the Assemblies of God. And they warned me that people will try to buck me on these fundamental truths, so I need to understand them and really believe them. And finally, that AG pastors have to sign that they agree with the 16 fundamental truths every year. That's one of those things they have to agree with, and so they cannot just They can't just disregard them. They got to believe in themselves. Overall, it was really great learning from these two ministers that were seasoned and have done this job for a long time. I'm grateful for their humility and their willingness to share some time with me to talk about these things.